Hey, what's up, guys? It's Art Book Addiction here, and we're here with a new artist rant video. So today we're gonna be talking about jaded artists. Okay, so there's a lot of people who have kind of become disenfranchised with art, right? People who they don't really put the heart in it anymore. You see this a lot with students who they've worked for a while, and it wasn't really quite what they were expecting, and now they've become jaded, right? They've become like oh, right, like they've lost their spark. They don't look at art the same way, right? And so I have a lot of complaints about these kinds of artists, right? And it's not the same as like artist block, but it's kind of its own little thing. But we'll get into that, right? But before we start the video, please hit that like, hit that subscribe, check out my Prince and Patreon if you want to support the channel, and ring that bell for notification. And with that, let's get into it. So, the jaded artists, okay? So when I was in school, I would encounter a lot of people who, like they've lost the spark, right? Like I said, they don't really quite enjoy art in the same way anymore. When they once looked at it with wonderment and beauty, and now it's become, work. Okay, it's become the daily drudgery. Okay, and these things happen when you're forced to create art that maybe you don't want to create. Okay, usually for like an assignment, okay, or for a job. Okay, and then you become kind of hardened. You're less passionate about your work, but that doesn't necessarily need to happen. Okay, but there are cases where it can happen, right? It's happened to me, right, where I became jaded for a period of time, not with art completely, but with maybe a certain class, right? Because I didn't really like what was happening in there, and it just basically it was a very bad environment. Okay, and I was making work for people that I felt like really didn't deserve it, and just they were like you're taking too much time, you're doing you're putting too much effort in, you're putting too much creativity in. We don't want that. Okay, so we just want you to just poop out work that you don't care about, right? And then so that really weighs on you, right, as an artist, right? And after honestly, it was after that moment and after that class where I realized, I was like, I never want to do that ever again. I never want to make work that I have no care for. Okay, right? And so this rant comes from a place of understanding, but also kind of condemnation, right? Because there's people who just did that for the entire rest of the school, or people who they get to that point but they don't recover from it, and then so they just churn out heartless garbage, okay, right, that they don't care about, the fans don't care about, and that it really, what it really translates to is soulless work. Okay, right, factory made art, okay, which those two things should not ever coincide. Okay, but yeah, so I really don't like jaded artists. Okay, right? And like I said, this is not the same thing as an artist who's feeling burnout, or an artist who is kind of oh, I'm kind of sad, or oh, I don't feel like working. Okay, that's different. Okay, that's not the same thing as a jaded artist. Okay, a jaded artist is someone who just does the work, okay, for the work's sake, okay, to get maybe a paycheck or something. You know what I mean? So it's not exactly quite the same thing. Okay, so I just these jaded artists, man. It's really sad. It's really sad, and I honestly I feel for them. I really do. Okay, but I feel like there's still a way to get your heart into the work. Okay, there's still a way to put yourself into the thing that you're really passionate about. Okay, it almost in spite of whatever the company or whoever you're working for wants out of you. Okay, right? And if they like if it really is like, you know, that bad, okay, then, you know, you could leave, okay? You could, and you know, I know it's like, oh well, where am I gonna get whatever, you know? And it's like, well, then just, you know, tighten down, do your thing, and like in a way you can make it a challenge for yourself, okay? With these parameters that make it lackluster, can I still put something in that I care about? Okay, that's what I did, right, with my work and with my you know, assignments, right, that, you know, maybe I didn't really like, you know, or maybe like it wasn't quite like my idea, right? Like maybe, but you could still take the thing that bothers you about what they said, and then like, okay, well, that now I have these constraints, can I find a creative way around it to make a thing that I like, right? So for me, honestly, the best way to solve this entire issue is to just take it as a challenge, okay, right? And I know I'm a challenge oriented person, right? And like, you know, maybe you, like there you have like a boss or a teacher that you don't really quite enjoy, right? And then like, and like, you know, it's like it's difficult because you think about the person, right? You think about like, or like the organization as a whole, right? But like I said, you don't want to ruin your own journey and experience as an artist to you know, to please them, okay, right? And so in a way, like you don't want to feel that way about art, okay, right? You want to, like, in spite of it, and like as a result, like, you know, you may be putting heart into a project that you don't really like, right? But it's okay, because now you're under these constraints, you feel that little but that means that you aren't, as an artist, are professional enough to still put yourself into the work, right? And like, and still create something that you could be proud of, okay? Or at the very least, like, you're like, hey, you know, it's working, I like it, you know, I use it to, I could use this to improve myself, right? So if you have like a job, right, that's like, you know, really really shitty, right? Like you're like, hey, you know, I have these constraints that I don't like, the vision of the person is kind of like lackluster, right? Like I said, use those constraints as a way to challenge yourself, right, to make yourself better, and to like prevent yourself from feeling bad about art, okay? Because that's the worst thing, okay? Because art should be a wonderful thing, art should be something beautiful, okay? So don't feel jaded, okay, right? And so like, you know, it's just like, you don't want to make lackluster work. You don't want to make work that looks heartless, okay? So that's my, like, here's my advice to you guys, right? So now is my rant about jaded artists, okay? Right, now here's where I add the little fire, okay? A little, like a branding art, like, you know, get a little you know, okay? So if you are a jaded artist, dude, okay, I don't like your work, okay? You're like, there's so many people who are like good, you know, people who are like, they look at their work, people look at their work and they're like, wow, dude, how do I do that, okay? And their work has no heart in it, okay? It's just aesthetically pleasing, okay? And like, there's something about the jaded work that's like, it's like, here's how I describe it, okay? It's like generic, okay? It's generic, it's factory made, there's no creativity in it, there's no heart in it, and it's just like, you know, here is the thing as it is, and then I put a little style on it, right? And like put it in my little style, right? But you could tell that there is no heart in it, there's no creative like energy within the work, okay? And it looks horrible, and I hate that people like praise that shit, okay? Right? How do you know what it is? Okay, it's that new like everybody does the Disney style, okay? It's the everyone that does the what do you call it? Like the copy of another style, right? To like for to be used as a purpose, right? There's no creativity, there's no originality in it, right? It's like bland, but like you could tell that like from a surface level, people are like whoa, you know? And like for me, as someone who like looks a little bit deeper, right, I notice, and I'm like, why is this work, like, why do people like it? Okay, it's kind of like AI artwork, right, where there's the lack of soul, there's a lack of humanity in the work, right, but it's made by a person, you know, right, and maybe they make the work because oh, this is what people like, you know, this is what people like, so I'm gonna just feed it to it, even though I don't really kind of like it, you know. And I'm like as an artist, I find that disgusting, dude. Okay, you make work that you should like, okay, right. I was, honestly, I was told by a friend that, like, in my department, right, that I was the only person who actually enjoyed my own work. And I'm like, how can I be the only one? Like, why even make art if you don't enjoy it? Okay, why even make art if you're gonna be like the day at the dirt mines, it's like that's the whole point of avoiding that kind of career path. The whole point of art is that you enjoy it and that you care about it, right, and you want to put that care into the work so that it comes alive. Okay, right. That's another thing about the artwork of these jaded artists. Their artwork is dead. Okay, it's just the thing. It's a flat image on a thing that just exists. Okay, right. It doesn't come alive. It doesn't when it comes to character design. Okay, right. The characters should pop off the page. You should look at the character and you're like, I know what he's about. I could see him moving, right, or her, and I could see her like animated. I can see the way she moves. The way oh, she probably and you like when you have that. And you have like a cast of characters that you could see them interacting with each other, like, oh, this guy's the grumpy guy and this guy's the happy guy, and then like, oh, they don't really get along, and then like he's like, it's like SpongeBob Squidward shit, you know what I mean, right? And these characters leap off the page, right? And that's what you want. That's art that is alive, okay, right? And I've seen artists who are not very good, okay, make characters that feel alive, okay, and I've seen really good artists who make characters that are just dead, okay, right? And it's a very fine line. But you could tell. You can look at it and you're like, your character's dead, dude. That's not a real character, dude. Okay, that's a character that was made, just in the printing press, in the fucking in the mold, another one, right? And it's like, you don't want that. Okay, you don't, because like the more you do it, the more you get used to it, the more it becomes the standard for yourself, right? And to these jaded artists, I'm like, what are you even jaded about? What are you even jaded about? Okay, like, I get it. There's the external factors. Okay, there's the whatever, but you yourself, you should just be like I don't care about that. Okay, me, my work, that relationship, dude, that's sacred. Okay, and I ain't gonna ruin it for nobody. Okay, so you could either quit that thing, okay, or you could either rise up to the challenge, okay, or use it as a challenge, right, or just try your hardest to put in that little bit of heart into the work, into the assignments. All right, and you know what, dude, like, a lot of the times these people, right, I see that, like, what the teacher or art director is asking them is not that crazy. It's not enough to get jaded over, right? So to me, I'm like, you guys are cowards. You guys are like freaking little bitches, dude. Okay, about like oh, now I do the thing that I don't exactly want, and then like when they get the chance to do the exact thing that they want, right, they don't know what to do. Okay, and so I'm like, well, here's the thing. It's the thing that you exactly wanted, right? Why don't you do it then, right? And it's just like, well, like, and I find those artists pathetic. Okay, pathetic. Okay, it's not everybody. Okay, obviously you might have your own thing, and maybe you're like, you put a lot of effort, you work hard, right? But a lot of these artists, dude, they're lazy. Okay, a lot of these people that I see, they're like, oh, it's not the exact thing that I wanted. And I'm like, well, what's your idea? Well, I don't know what it is, right? I don't know it's just not, I just don't like this thing, right? And I'm just like, well, then you get to put no effort into it. You're not trying then, you know, right? And it's a case by case basis, okay? I acknowledge that, okay? It's not always this, everything's perfect, you know what I mean, right? But the artist should be able to, despite all the limitations, find a way, right? The artists are creative people, right? And so then you need to find a creative solution to this problem, okay? Don't just give up and then be like, now I'm gonna make this lame thing, you know, I don't care about it. And it's like I said, and that doesn't really affect the outer force that you're creating for. They'll probably be like, oh, whoa, that's pretty good, man. You know, they don't care. But the artist in you, the muse, she cares. Okay, she's gonna be like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing, right? And so you are like you can't give into that. You can't give into that. You gotta push back, right? And push back in a creative way. Okay, push back, and you're like, you know what? You're gonna place these stupid constraints. You're gonna make me rechange it. Okay, well, I'm gonna rechange it to something that I still like, and I think like that like people would like. Okay, and if they don't like that, then you know whatever. Okay, they're like, hey, change it again, dude. I'm like, you know, fuck it. I'm gonna rechange it again, dude, and do another one that I still. And they're like if they're trying to drive the heart out of the piece, dude, right? You make 50 variations, dude. Okay, right? You gotta have that rebellious nature in your art, okay, right? And not like and like with the constraints, fine. You gonna challenge me like that? I'm gonna rise up to the challenge, okay? I'm not gonna let you take my enjoyment away from the art, okay? That's number one, okay? So like, you know, those jaded artists, man, just stop following everyone. Stop like not rising to the challenge. Okay, and stop looking at your work as just like a drudgery, okay, as just like, oh, it's just another day at the coal mines, okay, right? Like even people who like mine coal, I'm sure there's people who are like really passionate and they care about it, and they're like how do I best effectively mine this coal, you know what I mean, right? How do I like, you know, there's the attitude that you look at the thing from, okay, and if that changes, then your perceived notion of the art changes, okay? And then you won't feel so jaded anymore, okay? Right? And art is not something to feel jaded about, okay? And if you do, it's kind of lame, okay? It's kind of lame. That's the easiest way to put it, man, okay? So, you know, do whatever you're doing, put that heart into it, okay? Change your mind. Don't look at the art that way. Change that perspective, okay? I think we can end the video here, guys, but so before we end the video, please hit that like, hit that subscribe, check out my prints and Patreon if you want to support the channel, ring that bell for notification, consider becoming a channel member, all that bullshit, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks a lot.